What's up everybody? Jason here with another car review of a 1992 Acura Integra GS-R. This is kind of a unique car. These are very cool and highly sought after. This one is in a kind of rough shape, but it is mostly original. It has the original B17 engine, it has original suspension, original small 14-inch wheels. This thing really hasn't been touched. The only modifications that I've noticed are the shift knob and the aftermarket CD player. Other than that, this is kind of a rare example of a 92 Aztec Green Pearl Integra GS-R. For 92 and 93, this was the first iteration of the Integra GS-R. There was only a few thousand of them ever made, and so it's kind of a hot commodity in these Acura, Honda collector worlds that are popping up more and more often, especially with things like Bring a Trailer out there now. So I was happy to come across this one. I came out of Texas from what was almost the original owner. He bought it as a lease return back in 1994, and he had it ever since. And like I said, it's in a little rough shape cosmetically. Mechanically, it runs great. The B17 has 206,000 miles on it. It's awesome, runs wonderful. The transmission shifts great, feels good, the clutch feels good. It just needs some cosmetic love, especially some new paint. So today I just want to take you on a walkthrough of this car and why it's kind of a special car, a unique car, and why they're going for so much online on bidding sites like Bring a Trailer right now. There was one a few months ago that went for about $10,000. And so with the proper, restoration processes in place, these things can be very valuable. So let's start with just a look at the exterior. So for 1992 and 1993, these Acura Integra GS-Rs had these very slim, long headlights, which are pretty cool. When the second iteration of the GS-R came out, they had those round headlights that you see most common on Integras, because there's only a few thousand of them made compared to several thousand over the years up through, I think it was 2001 when the next GS-R was made. You can get some JDM headlight lamps that are all one piece, and they eliminate this yellow side reflective marker. They look really good. They're kind of expensive and hard to find without broken clips, but if you can find a good set, it makes it look very, very clean. In addition, the GS-Rs also had this little front lower lip to give it a little more aggressive look. And as you can see, my Acura badge is missing, but I have another one. This is a common thing. If you're looking to buy one of these old Integras, they had these license plate brackets, but as you can see, they're missing. And to get replacement ones of those are pretty difficult. There are a few people online that have gone to 3D printing little blocks that you can put in there and then get some touch-up paint and it'll look much better. Another reason why I love these cars is because they're just so small. You won't find cars today that are this small. I mean, the Miatas are close maybe, but this is just such a representation of how cars were in the early 90s. Small, light, agile, and fun. From the side, I love how it looks. I think it looks really clean. There is some unique features. Let me show you. First up that you'll notice with these old Hondas and Integras is these small 14-inch wheels. In the days of that we have now of 18, 19, and even 20-inch wheels being used on performance cars, these 14-inch wheels are extremely small and look almost hysterical in comparison to what's out there today. Another unique feature of the exterior is right here. And this is specific to the GS-R model. This is a little VTEC badge, which is a sure telltale sign that you actually have a true GS-R. And I guess I should explain that while we're here, and we'll get to this in a minute with the engine, but VTEC is simply a dual overhead cam system that at a certain RPM will open up and give you a dramatic, in most cases, increase of power. It sounds loud, it feels good, it's a lot of fun, and VTEC has kind of become something that's quite popular in the internet YouTube world with Hondas and Acuras. Another unique feature that you won't see on today's cars, modern cars, is this automatic antenna. So mine doesn't work right now, otherwise I'd show you how it works. But inside there's a motor that when you turn on the radio will automatically extend this antenna up, and it looks like a flag mast flying in the wind. I had a 1991 Acura Legend, and that mast was huge. It was, you know, probably 4 feet tall, but the reception was great. One of my favorite parts about the car is the rear end here. I love the taillights. I think they're super cool, especially with this old school, like, nice orange strip there. You've got the Acura badge, the missing emblem, of course, which I have another one of. Original exhaust, dual chrome exhaust tips. And then probably the coolest unique feature is this little GS-R badge. That little GS-R badge is pretty rare and pretty cool. If someone, a Honda enthusiast, notices this out on the road, they're probably going to give you a thumbs up for sure. So here's the engine bay, and as I pointed out on that side marker that says VTEC, here's the with another one of those VTEC signs for DOHC, dual overhead cam, VTEC. This is a special motor. It's the B17, which they only did for those few years in this specific car. Later on in the Acura Integra GS-Rs, they did the B18C. The 17 denotes the 1.7 liter size, and of course later on with the B18 that was the 1.8 liter size engine. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't put out much power by today's standards, around 160 horsepower, but with a car this light, it's more than enough just to have fun with around town. So as far as the interior of the car goes, it's a comfortable place to be, and sitting inside, as I'll do in just a moment, it's pretty spacious and bare bones compared to what we're used to today. But anyway, opening up, you have your just plain, you know, door panel here. There's some fabric hanging down. The speaker cover is loose, so I just removed it. It's in the back seat. But you've got your automatic locks from 1992 and your auto up and down switches and your door locks. These seats are pretty unique to the GS-R. You've got this kind of micro suede cloth that they used back in those days for Hondas, where you've got this red and kind of green and blue stitching that happens, and it's actually worn pretty well. For being almost 30 years old, these seats still look great. There's no rips, no tears, and I mean there's some wear here and there's some wear here, but other than that, they look pretty good. So let me show you how it looks like from the inside when sitting down. So sitting down in these seats, they're pretty comfortable. The bolstering on either side is pretty great. It actually has adjustable bolstering here on the side. I'll show that in just a moment. But they feel good, you know, for being 30 years old. I like these seats a lot. Now get ready for probably the most unique feature of this car that some of you might remember from these early 90s, but let me just insert the key here and check this out. Woo! Automatic seat belts. So cool. It's kind of warm today, so there it goes. So you take out the key, and there goes the seat belt. Interestingly enough, though, they don't, when they're locked in, they don't actually lock, and so I don't really know how safe they are. And then you have this like little lap belt that you're supposed to remember to put on after your shoulder belt's on. I don't know. I don't really get it. And half the time you forget to put on the lap belt, so you're kind of driving around with no seat belt and no airbags. So, you know, if you're okay with that, then this is an awesome car. But don't count on these automatic seat belts probably doing a whole lot for you. So as far as the steering wheel goes, it's pretty cool. Now, it's got these 4 kind of weird spokes, and I'm going to say something that when you hear it, you're not going to ever be able to forget it, but this has kind of been deemed the squid wheel. So there you go. But as far as the gauges go, they're very cool, very easy to read. Classic Acura Honda. What you'll notice, the standout here is that nearly 8,000 RPM redline. This motor really screams, and especially above about 5,500 RPM. Most cars redline around like 65-ish. this goes all the way to 8. And so, you know, VTEC really kind of opening up around 5,500. You still have almost, you know, 2,500 RPMs all the way up to go to 8, and it just is screaming. 207,000 miles. It still runs wonderful. Like I said, I think it's in better mechanical shape than it is cosmetic. But you also have some cool little features, like here's the sunroof, you know, to close it. This is, you know, open. It actually has cruise control, your dimming of the gauges, that works. You know, you got your fog light switch, defrost, hazards. It actually does have AC. It still has the original R12 Freon compressor. So finding R12 can be a bit of a challenge, but converting that to 134 is relatively inexpensive and not too difficult. Like I said, the only 2 modifications in the car are right here. This is the CD player, and this is a aftermarket shift knob. The original shift knob is in the glove box. Other than that, it's pretty original. And, you know, I'm 5'9", and I've got plenty of room, and it's very comfortable for me up here. And so, just again, another view of these cool seats. You can see that the bolstering is pretty aggressive, you know, for this older car, and it's comfortable, and the fabric's great. And anyway, overall, it's a pretty cool interior to be in. As far as backseat space goes, it's not terrible. I've got some stuff back there, so forgive the mess. I got some extra weather stripping and odds and ends, but you know, I'm 5'9", like I said, and so here I'll sit behind myself right now. And yeah, I mean, like, my knees touch, but it's not bad. I mean, my feet are hardly under, if I put them back against the rear seat here, there's, you know, my feet are fine. Like, so, you know, for around town, it's okay. I wouldn't want to be back here for any long sort of period of time, especially since behind me, you've got this huge back window that lets in a ton of sun, and it's almost like directly over your head if you've got your head straight up. And headroom, speaking of, let me flip this around. It's not great. So it's really kind of meant for just like little people and kids, or maybe just short jaunts around town. But yeah, so backseat space, I mean, compared to like things like the Subaru BRZ today, I actually think it has more space than the BRZ. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'd want to be back here for a long time. Another reason why I love hatchbacks so much, there's actually a lot of storage space back here in the trunk for different things. I mean, there's a lot of space right here, and if you wanted to go even further, the rear seats fold down, and you could put a lot of things in here. So, pretty spacious for such a small car. Now, kind of cool, this whole rear hatch just lifts up, the glass and everything. It looks kind of like a lot, but you know, it works out pretty well. So let me just close it down for you so you can see that. So yeah, just all closes down. Yeah, overall, a decent amount of storage space. So let's start it up and take it for a drive. Again, here's the, woo, those seat belts, man. Oh yeah, and don't forget to put on your lap belt. All right, here we go, starting off in the 1992 Acura Integra GS-R. The AC is not charged right now, so it's a little hot in here, but that's all right. If you hear some squeaking, that is the ball joints need to be replaced. Since picking this thing up, I've replaced axles, I've replaced the rack and pinion boots. I did a, let's see, I also did a valve adjustment and, you know, valve gasket cover. What else have I done? I know I've done some other things, but you know, another thing about these early 90s Hondas and Acuras is that they're just pretty easy to work on, you know, and it's so rare to find one that's not modified because, you know, everybody back then, especially with the advent of the Fast and the Furious movies, was just, you know, going crazy for these things and would either, get their own and modify it and, throw exhaust and engine modifications all over the place. And if you couldn't buy one, these things were notorious for getting stolen. That's the thing that's shocking about this one that I picked up, is it's got a clean title. It's never been in any accidents. It's never been stolen, and which is just remarkable for what this car is. In fact, I worked with a guy who had a 93 Integra, just the LS, and it was stolen right out of the parking lot. And we've got a small parking lot. But in any case, I'm happy that this one has never been stolen or wrecked or anything like that. And the previous owner really took pretty good care of it, besides it being a little sun-baked. But these early Honda paint was not great anyway. So you can kind of hear there, it's just that nice Honda hum. It handles so well. It needs an alignment, but it's crazy. I'll post a video after this too, of the previous owner driving on the freeway in Texas, and he's going about 85 or so, and I think it's his RPMs are just resting right around like almost $5,000, which is very, very high for most cars. If your car was spinning at 5,000 RPMs, you would certainly notice it, because it's really loud and you'd wonder what's wrong with your car. But because of how these are geared and because of the 8,000 RPM red line, they just spin really high, and it's something to kind of get used to, but still, it's pretty cool.
I believe that public radio is a non-biased and trustful source of news, and it has helped me so much in gaining my knowledge and understanding of American society. Public radio has done a lot for me, and that's why I'm proud to support it in return by being a member of this station. KERA, go public.
Civics American Life.
So, again, this would be a little bit more fun if the air conditioning was working, but that's all right. Other things I can point out is that visibility, like I said, is so good. Like, I don't know, I feel like I've been in a lot of newer cars that their visibility just drives me nuts, and this one you can see great. And of course, yeah, modern cars are so much safer than anything like this, but that comes with, ironically, a lack of visibility. I think Subaru does a really great job at their visibility, especially just any of their newer cars, really. I love the visibility out of the WRX and the BRZ, and both those cars still have 5-star crash test ratings, but somehow they've maintained excellent visibility. So yeah, just driving this thing around, it's been a lot of fun. I haven't had this thing for very long. I've only put maybe 150 miles on it, but very cool to own so far. And whatever the future holds for this thing is only going to be better. Some fresh paint and cosmetic love inside and out. It needs, some detailing inside and some newer floor mats, but with time, with love, and with money, this will be pretty sweet. And I think it'll be good to go for another 100,000 miles. So anyway, back to the review. So in conclusion, I think this car is awesome. If you are a fan of Hondas and Acuras of the 1990s and up to the early 2000s, then an Aztec Green Pearl GS-R should be near the top of your list to collect. These things are so cool. They're so much fun to drive. They handle so well. Acura and Honda really were in their golden days, way ahead of their time back then, especially with the NSX coming out and everything that they did with that. But it's a great car. It just keeps going. I mean, it has 207,000 miles. It's almost 30 years old, and yet it's still great. It feels good. Sure, it's lacking in some modern safety features and everything, but it's just so cool. And so You know, if you're looking for, when I was looking for one, it seemed like there was a few examples out there for, you know, a few $1,000s or so. If you wanted a really great one, like the one on Bring a Trailer a few months ago, it's going to be about $10,000. So you could expect unmodified, decent examples, well-maintained examples to go for around 5 or 6. And I think that's fair, honestly, especially if you were to restore it and sell it down the road. It's probably one of the few cars you could, well, not one of the few, but this is probably a car you can put some money into and expect to get some money back on your project. But, you know, don't like take me to the bank on that or anything. Anyway, I'd love your thoughts and comments. These are so cool. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day. See ya.